All right, we're back. Shelf Space, episode 22. After kind of taking the summer off here, we got a new episode going, and we're going to wrap up the summer events. So, as always, we are live across Canada. We got Charles out in Montreal.
Hey everybody.
We got Gina out in Toronto,
Hello.
and I'm over in the West in Edmonton. So, guys, how was your summer?
Summer was really good. We took the family to Lake George, and not too far from there, we took them to a rebuilt set of the Star Trek original series Enterprise. So that was
Okay.
a lot of fun. But pretty much it was a lot of family related stuff.
Yeah, yeah, same here. Gina, did you have a good summer?
Uh, yeah, it was good. It's expensive because I got all new camera gear and all new
That's right.
lenses and stuff. So it's pretty. That whole switch over was pretty expensive. And then spending some time at the Fan Expo was pretty cool.
Yep, FanExpo. So we will get into that. That's one of the events for sure. We're going to start off with the Montreal Comic Con, which kind of kicked off the summer events. Was it back in June, Charles?
I believe it was July 6th.
Okay,
If we're
so
going to be
early July. S-
right.
so
So John Pham from Prime One was nice enough to allow us to come to the show a little bit earlier, take some pictures, as you saw the Batman third scale, the Dog Alien third scale. I don't know how many people out there have seen third scale pieces, but they're very impressive in person. Specifically, this one too, the Harley Quinn. I realized that this is a statue that came out a couple of years ago, but this was one that I saw in person for the first time, and I was thoroughly impressed. It seems like the larger the piece, the more expressive you can be with it, or the more you can appreciate it from a distance. I was very impressed with it. We also got to see some GI Joe, some King Kong. It was a very impressive layout. I think the ones that people seem to be most impressed with were the Transformers. The Transformers was one of the ones that people were just oohing and eyeing and taking pictures left and right. Again, this was the Transformers obviously wasn't third scale, but it was like the size of a third scale statue,
yeah, yeah,
and it
they're
had
all
light
massive.
up. Yeah, it had light up features. The Ultraman also had light up features. And this was the first time Prime One presented in Montreal or in Canada, we'll say. So it was really cool to see them come to this side of the pond and display their stuff for the public. Venom was also very nice at Jurassic Park. Yeah,
King
I
Kong
was.
there.
Yeah, one of the things, just in closing with the Montreal show, is they weren't really presenting anything that was new. Most of the stuff had been released already in collector hands. And this was just kind of like, hey, if you guys haven't seen us, this is the stuff that we have available now. Order it through us or order it through Sideshow and or through your local dealer. But it was a very impressive looking booth, to see them all at once.
Yeah, you know what I was going to say is kind of significant about this event is I think it's the first time any statue manufacturer has displayed in Canada. Like I don't think
Yeah,
sideshows has ever come like through
I think.
retailers, but
Yeah,
not
I
the
think.
statue
I think
company
like
themselves.
a Kotobukiya came one year to Fan Expo,
Oh,
but
okay.
in terms of a larger scale,
Yeah.
absolutely, I don't think anyone has. You're absolutely right. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was kind of a big deal. So hopefully they make it a trend, and maybe they'll get to some others across Canada, because the market might be there for a couple of them. I know Montreal. How big is that convention out there?
They get about 70,000. So it's probably a top 20, but I wouldn't say it's Toronto, New York, San Diego yet. Not yet.
Yeah, so
Probably
it's
closer to Miami or Chicago, but I would say it's top 15, but I wouldn't go much higher than that. But you brought up an interesting question about other statue companies. There were two others that were in Montreal. There was House of Gog and Pure Arts, but they weren't really presenting a lot of statues. I think House of Gog had one statue, Pure Arts had two. So it wasn't exactly a big showing. It was just a feel for the space, it seemed.
Yeah, I think both of those companies are fairly new. House of Gog just has the one that you saw, the Moonstone, and
Right.
they were in Toronto as well. Pure Arts is they've been around apparently as a manufacturer. I think they've made stuff, but now they're just getting licenses for themselves, like the Assassin's Creed and stuff. So
Which was
we'll
nice,
probably,
by the way. Nice
yeah,
looking
so we'll
piece.
start seeing more from them coming up. So that kind of kicked off the convention scene, I think, for the summer, statue wise, and then it kind of rolled into one of the bigger ones of the year, which is San Diego
Mm.
Comic Con, and I had a chance to go there this year for more than half an hour. Last year I got in for like half an hour, but
Half an hour.
yeah,
So the lineup at the bathroom is longer.
I know I got to borrow someone's pass for a bit on the preview night. So, but this time I got to spend the whole day there. So I just wanted to show you guys a quick video, just kind of the crowds. So I'll throw that up right now. Um, so this is just kind of where I started off the day. So that's the ferry I'm going to take across. I'm on Coronado Island. So there's a convention center there with those white sails. So we're going to head across there in 1 second. Just showing people there's a typical San Diego day. Starts off super cloudy, and then you can see it's starting to get sunny now. So I got across there. Look at the crowds here. So this is on the Thursday. You see the steady stream of people. It's just like one huge line
Yeah.
filing in. And this is only the Thursday. And then so here's just outside. I was waiting for my ticket or my badge. So just some of the crowds. You see people dressed up. The cosplay is pretty cool here. I don't know if I got any in this one. But we're going to jump ahead to the Saturday crowd here in a second.
It's really nice weather too.
Oh, it's so yeah. This is like starting to get sunny. Like I love San Diego, man. It's just the weather's great. I went too long with this part here, but
Weather like this 24/7 all year round.
pretty
It's
much.
just it seems cruel for three Canadians to watch this right now.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so here we are inside. So this is the Saturday. I had my son in here with me, and I said, "Okay, Parker, hold on to my backpack and do not let go." And you can see it's like we're like shoulder to shoulder. And this is like played like triple speed, so it looks like you're actually moving, but you're really not.
Mm.
Um, so we're just kind of walking through, and we'll get to the sideshow booth in a second. But this walk took me maybe 20 minutes to get through. And that's only about a third of the way. So here's the sideshow booth on the left. It's just nuts. The crowds in there.
Now you see what you're seeing there, like these banners on top of booths. We didn't really see that in Montreal. You really had to go around and around to try and find where people were. So you didn't really see things descending from the ceilings. That kind of investment in your booth, you didn't really see that in Montreal.
Yeah, no, everyone has one in San Diego. So it's so busy there. It's really hard to get much good content, but I'll show you some of the things that that caught my eye, and I'll start off with the Juggernaut. I know it's been out for a while or went up for pre-order a while back, but this one, seeing it in person, really a lot better than I was expecting. Definitely.
The
I think
size.
I think it's sold out. I think it's sold out after it was previewed here.
Yeah.
It went on waitlist. Yeah, so I think people had the same reaction you did, Chris.
Yeah,
Like,
I saw this thing, the size, and I remember people were commenting, "Oh, he's small. He's undersized." When he first was revealed, it's not undersized at all. Like, believe me, it is. This statue is enormous. Huge piece. Here's a big surprise from the event that I was not expecting to see. And you guys know how I love my wrestling, so I mean the Rock. This has got to be one of the best likenesses I've ever seen on a statue.
yeah,
It looks exactly like him. Not only the face, but the body and the skin tones and everything. And there is a switch out torso, so you can swap that out and go with kind of the old school Rock with hair.
Really?
Yeah. So
which one do you like better? Which torso do you like, or do you prefer?
I thought this one looked really good, but I don't know. The other Rock, and I don't have a picture of it ready, but is more the one that I followed during when I was
Yeah.
watching wrestling.
Yeah.
So I don't know, tough call. This one might have looked better. It's a better pose, I think.
It's his
Um,
movie look. He looks like that in movies.
yeah, yeah. So Adam's watching with us here. So hey, Adam, how's it going? Hopefully my audio is okay. I'm setting it up on the laptop for the first time, so hopefully everyone can hear us. But anyways, here's another one that was really impressive: the Infinity Studio Wonder Woman,
Yeah. A
and
lot of people were talking about this one.
yeah, and they were tucked away in a corner. Like you had to really kind of dig around to find their booth, and they weren't at the sideshow booth. So I found their stuff, and this one was, I thought, definitely the best from their display. One thing that's interesting is they're silicone, so like if you touch it, like they're sticky, and I'm just wondering how that's gonna be. Like display wise, is it gonna collect dust? How are you gonna clean it? Those sorts of things.
I'd be
Uh,
concerned about the hair over time. That's the part that gets me, the hair. What's that hair going to look like in a year? It's a
Mm.
yeah, and
beautiful piece, but it's a question mark.
I
I'm not
also
putting
wonder
down
what
the
it's gonna
piece,
look like out of the box.
Right.
Like,
I think I'd be a bit more concerned about the skin over the hair. I think the hair you have some latitude. So, maybe you lose a few strands, or maybe the luster isn't that, you've got some margin to play with the hair. With the skin, I mean, you can notice imperfections on skin like that. So, I that's
yeah,
what I'd be concerned about. Like any sort of imperfection, any sort of discoloration of the skin, your eyes can pick that up a bit more. So, but I mean, it's definitely impressive. And obviously, I guess they've gone with silicone because they can get a better likeness that way. And this is,
well,
you know,
yeah, it looks real.
yeah,
I mean, it
yeah,
looks like Gal Gadot, right?
yeah,
You're standing there looking at her, and they
right.
also had Superman and Batman there too. Um,
I thought this was the most impressive of the three.
Definitely, definitely. So another new reveal from Sideshow is the Flash. I think it's only been about 25 years since people wanted a Flash from Sideshow. So finally, it's here. They got Daniel Bell to do it, and he's just been cranking out statues for them this year. It's crazy. Um,
What do you
so I don't
think
know.
of this statue, the Flash?
I think it's nice. I like the face. I think it's got a really nice face. Obviously, the muscling that Daniel Bell does is very good. People, I know the comments were his limbs look long, especially his arms, and they do a little bit. I thought, um, but not too bad. But I don't know. I thought it was okay. But after, like I said, when did they get the DC license? Like 6 or 7 years ago, and we wanted a Flash since then, and it's okay. What are your thoughts?
I think this is, I mean, I like it, but I want to love it. And I'm just not feeling I love it yet. Maybe it needs to grow on me a little bit, or when it comes out, maybe I'll warm up to it a little bit more. Um, can't exactly put my finger on what it is exactly. I'm just wondering if it fits the other DC premium formats. I like it. I'm not
Yeah,
totally sold on it yet.
yeah. Some of the characters are like this, like action, and then some of them are just standing there. I don't know how well they mix, but um, I'm sure people will be happy with this. Gina, what do you think of the
I
Flash?
think so.
I like it actually. I'm not a Flash fan, but I like it. For me, my feelings is that in terms of the design, they went for safe and standard. They went for your classic Flash. They didn't think outside the box. They kept within the bounds, um, and they played it safe. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I think those who have been looking for the Flash, this is your quintessential pose. I like it, and I think the anatomy is great. I know it does look in the photos, whatever. I mean, I didn't have the benefit of Chris of seeing it in person. The limbs do look a bit elongated. That doesn't bother me, especially for what he's doing, and that sprinting mode, and he's a superhero. It works for me. If I was a super Flash fan, and I've been waiting for this, I would probably get the statue. I'm not, so obviously, but I liked it. I know there was a few sort of negative comments, but I didn't really agree with those. I do like it. I think it's well done.
Yeah, it's pretty good. So here's another one that I thought looked pretty cool, actually. Take aside from the outfit she's got on here, but some
Aside from the outfit.
if you want to call it an outfit, I don't know
That's like
if that count.
aside that she's
I don't know if
female.
it counts,
Aside,
but no, I'm
something
just
you could discount.
it's something that kind of I wasn't expecting to see there. I wasn't expecting to like, and it looks pretty good. It's a pretty big statue with that chair that she's lounging on. Um, it was pretty cool. And sculpted by Will Harbottle, who I did actually get to talk to, which was kind of cool.
That's really
Oh,
cool.
hopefully he'll come on the show sometime.
Well, we'll try. We'll see if we can get him on. A couple more from Sideshow, or sorry, at the Sideshow
They
booth.
actually have to change the title of that statue, right? It went from
They,
Deja
They
Thoris
did.
to Princess of Mars.
They did.
yeah, I don't know what. Obviously, some kind of licensing thing.
It's
I
some
mean,
license issue.
but
As long as the statute doesn't change, then it doesn't really, to me, it doesn't make a difference. But
yeah, it was a really nice statue, though. I mean, for people who are like the character and want a Martian princess in their collection, then they can go with that. So here's a couple more. I thought the Daenerys looked really really cool. Her portrait maybe is a bit off, but I think they're going to work on it.
There's
Um,
no mistaking who it is, right?
yeah, this is
So,
Daenerys. But if you pop a picture of her side by side, the actress, it's off. You can tell. But still, the statue itself looked awesome. She's got that mixed media dress, and you got the three dragons on. She's sitting on the throne. I mean, it's really quite big. The base is like you see the wooden part underneath,
yeah,
large
you,
piece.
you see a piece like this, and it's just yet a constant reminder of how this industry is constantly evolving. It's to a point where you can't even compare pieces that are 2 years apart, in terms of how much they keep on pushing the envelope and trying new things. It's
Yeah, I
great.
mean this is so that was Prime One, Blitzway, and then I think designed by Studio Hive. It was like a triple threat of statue producers, on that one. And we got the Joker. I know Gina, you were a big fan of that one.
that was my favorite that was previewed at the San Diego Comic Con by far. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty. It's a pretty iconic scene from the movie. Do you like this one better than the last Heath Ledger they did?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think the likeness is better, and as you said, I think the scene that they've captured is perfect. I really like the ingenuity how you can move the jail cell gates or grid in the back or the front. I think
Oh,
that's pretty
okay. I
cool.
didn't know
Yeah,
that. Oh, okay,
yeah, you can
cool.
move back, or so you could put in front of him, behind him, and obviously he has the clapping hands as well. And then
Yeah.
I love it. It's interesting because I know a few people who were at, like, it didn't get that much buzz in the community when it was previewed, but those that were there at San Diego seemed to love it, and you were pretty impressed, Chris.
I like the socks. I think they look cool. The
That's
see
my
the little bit of
voice.
color from his socks. That's what caught my eye. I don't know why.
Okay.
Um,
Well,
but
it's
yeah,
a
How about the
nice
like?
addition.
Yeah. How about the
it
likeness? Did it work?
it's pretty good. Again, this is another one. If you put a picture of Heath Ledger as a Joker right next to it, you can tell it's not quite there. But if you're just looking at the statue, I mean, again, no mistaking who it is. It's pretty good.
Yeah. One other thing about, was it getting a lot of buzz? I think movie statues in general just get less buzz unless it's Star Wars, right? It just get less buzz. It's the nature of the
Yeah.
beast,
The
Sure.
other thing is that there was so much stuff there. Um, like Sideshow's booth is really big. They have a ton of stuff there. I didn't even and half they have another half that's like hot toys and stuff. So if you're into that, it's just an enormous booth. So it's hard to key on everything or give enough attention to everything. So here's probably I think their biggest reveal from the event, which was Gambit. I think this is going to be super popular. Gina, I know you're a big fan.
And that was Harbotto as well, eh?
It was, yeah. So, yeah, as I mentioned, I got to talk to him, and one of his favorite characters that I tried to push him on to do, hopefully, is Bullseye. And he brought it up. I didn't even bring it up. He
He
brought up
brought it
Bullseye.
up.
He brought up Bullseye, and I obviously didn't drop that topic. I was like, you got to do that.
So here you are talking about Gambit, and now it fits with the Rogue. And oh, by the way, I'm thinking about Bullseye, just like
Well, they're
that.
not. It's not in the work. So let me make that clear. But it was a
Yeah.
character that he mentioned somebody asked him what's his favorite X-Men because there's so many X-Men. And then we got on the topic of which characters he'd like to do and stuff. And Bullseye was his idea, which would be awesome. But this statue looked great from the front, like this. It really, really looks awesome. I like
Impressive.
that portrait with the toothpick. This is one of those EX or fail, I think, in my opinion. You got to have the toothpick portrait for
That's a
sure.
great shot. That's a great photo, Chris.
Well, that one, actually, Parker was my lighting assistant for that one. That's why I brought him on the Saturday was to hold my light.
Can
I got
make
to
a
put him to
huge
work somehow.
difference.
It does, yeah, for sure. And then I saved the last one. This is my big anticipated piece from the event, which is the new Daredevil um, from Iron Studios. I think they did an amazing job. This is done by Tiago Rios, who did their Punisher. He's also
Ah,
done a few pieces for XM. He did the Deathstroke that they just put out. I think he also did the Joker, the 1/6 Joker
okay.
for them. So he's done some really pretty nice stuff. And I've chatted with him, hoping to get him on the show as well too. So hopefully, some good guests coming up. But I thought they did an amazing job with that piece overall. It's not perfect, but it's pretty close. I know a lot of people keyed in on the holsters on the right leg and should be on the left and things like that. But overall, I thought it looked great.
The ninja boots.
The ninja boots, I mean, yeah, that was a style choice they made. I mean, he is a ninja, so I guess it's better than armor plating and stuff that Sideshow tried to put on Daredevil.
It's very
Well,
impressive there, Darwin.
that's up for debate though, Chris, because some people prefer the armored.
But no, well, some people prefer it. I won't doubt
I'm
that.
playing
I
devil's
won't deny that.
I'm just
That,
playing
but
devil's advocate.
some people do prefer it, but it's not the character. Daredevil is a ninja, so ninja boots. But I don't know, they don't stand out a lot,
Do
you
you
know.
view Daredevil as a ninja? When you think of Daredevil, do you think ninja?
Yeah, he is a ninja.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Why?
not how
Do
I
you,
view.
Charles? Charles,
I
do
don't
you?
view him as a ninja. I view him as a crime fighter. I view him as I like ninjas is not my go-to place right away. I'm aware of his background, with stick and so on. But in terms of ninja, is that where I
Well,
first
he does.
go?
He doesn't run around in armor though, right?
I can live without the armor,
Yeah.
but I could have lived without the ninja boots too.
Well,
That
sure.
part
Yeah.
doesn't add to the piece for me. It actually takes away from the piece. But overall, this is a very impressive design. With the elaborate base,
The
and
base
we're
is
going to get
awesome.
some nice colors on it. I think this is going to be a hit for them.
I know
Yeah,
some
the
people
base
have
is awesome.
yeah, some people have mentioned that they didn't like the fact that the stained glass was sort of cut in half. I actually like that. So, so that if you got the entire full window stained glass window, it may have taken away a bit from the statue, having it just sort of in half and kind of broken off. I thought that
Mm.
was perfect. I thought, yeah, I love that stained glass. I think that they pulled it off perfectly. I like that Daredevil. I
Yeah.
really do. I think it's
Yeah, I would have preferred regular boots too. No doubt about it. But I
back to
can
the
live. I can live with those boots more than I can live with SWAT team Daredevil. Um,
going back
so
to the
okay.
boot.
Yeah.
SWAT team Daredevil.
Well, that's what Sideshow has. Yeah, that was their latest
Right.
was the Rainbow Six version of Daredevil. Um, okay,
Did
so
you get that one? Did you get that Daredevil?
the Sideshow one.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I have it. Yeah, it's
Okay.
nice, but it's not the ideal Daredevil. Hasn't been
Well,
hasn't hit all the marks for me.
that's up for debate, right?
Well, you like it better?
Then I'm just playing devil's advocate. I'm just playing devil's
Don't start
advocate.
with me. Okay. Um, okay. So San Diego Comic Con. For anybody who hasn't had a chance to go, it's an awesome event. Very crowded, very hectic. When you're inside there, and you saw the crowds, and I feel like you're constantly getting pushed around, bumped into. People walk in front of you trying to take pictures and for video and stuff is really difficult. Um, so, anyways, that event ended, and then 2 days later, after getting home from San Diego, I left for Tokyo, which is Wonder Festival, which is another big event from the summer. And I want to show you guys this. Here's some shots of the crowds from Wonder Festival, so you can see the difference between this and San Diego. Right. So here we are inside here. I mean, it's busy, but you can walk around. I mean, you're not bumping into people, getting pushed around, which is really nice.
And it was like that, like in the whole place, the whole
Pretty
convention
much, yeah.
center.
Pretty much. It's a big hall. There's two more rooms this size. This is just the retail hall, and then there's two more that are the custom, like garage kit. People come and sell their stuff type thing. Which I didn't even get a chance to look at this year, which I was disappointed about. It was so busy. But one thing that's really cool about this event is not this statue here, but you'll see in a second. See how this guy is going to walk up and take a picture, and it's just one guy, and so he takes his picture, and then there's a lineup of people. They line up so they can all go up there and take a picture one at a time. Nobody's
Wow.
bumping into them. Nobody's pushing them around. And then, me being the North American, I cut the line and go and get my video right here, right? But it's
Anyone look at you when you're doing that? Like, the guy.
no, they're too polite. They're too polite to do that. I'm sure they're thinking it, but yeah. So I mean, it's so pleasant to be there. It's a totally different experience from San Diego, which is just hustle and bustle, and this seems a little bit more relaxed.
Well, maybe they can afford to wait in line because it's like a lineup of 5 or 6 people, whereas at San Diego, it's like some 3,000, wanting to take a picture of this statue.
Well, you should see the lineup outside of the adults only booth. Yeah, in Wonderfest. That one's pretty long. um,
That seems like blackmail material. Take pictures of everyone in the
yeah,
lineup.
yeah, yeah. I did get a shot of that, but I didn't go inside. I don't know. It would be pretty weird. So we'll start off. Figurama debuted a new statue. This is their second Tokyo Ghoul statue. It's called Tuka versus Tsukiyama. So just a pretty neat looking piece. You'll notice it's being propped up there by a black stick. That's not going to be there, obviously. This was an early prototype. But Charles, you know how sometimes you have to make some adjustments on the floor.
Yep.
So here's the two Tokyo Ghoul pieces side by side, so you can get an idea of what they'll look like.
Yeah, it's so interesting when I look at Figurama. There's a similarity to their poses. It looks like they're all taking part in the same movie or something.
Yeah, I mean this one's definitely similar with. It's not even mirrored, right? It's the same orientation with the girl kind of jumping down towards the guy, and same thing with the guy on the one on sorry, the one on the right.
Well, there's a consistency to how these statues look. There's an action flair that's very similar.
Mm-hmm.
Where I like when I'm seeing it, I don't feel like, oh, I've never seen that before. I may have never seen like the characters or the use of the media, but in terms of like the posing, there's a familiarity to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely, and their Devilman statue is similar to that too.
Right. Just what I was thinking too.
Yeah, and here's one. This was a production piece or production sample for it's called Alucard, and I got to put this statue together. I saw it actually last year as well when they had their 1/4 scale version of it, which was about the size of a small car. This is downsized, maybe 1/6 ish, and I got to put it together, and it's a massive statue. Anybody who has that coming, set aside a couple hours to put that one together. So
yeah.
you see the big It's called the Hound here in the middle. That the thing with all the teeth and the eyes.
Wow.
Um, that's one big piece. It probably weighs about 30 pounds or so, just itself. And we put it in, and then we kept having to pick it up and put something else in underneath it because we didn't have the manual. There was no manual for it yet. Um,
Oh,
so it was a challenge, but pretty cool piece. So Prime One also makes this kind of their one of their flagship events from the or for the summer. They do it. It's twice a year actually. It's a single day event, twice a
yeah.
year.
Isn't that weird? It's just one day, and the crowds that you saw weren't really bustling. One day.
I mean, it's busy, but it's a little bit it's more easy to get around. It's a lot more people there are just not willing to push around. I guess I don't know.
I just
Um,
wonder why it's not as center stage. There must be something I'm
Because maybe
missing.
it's just because it focuses on just collectible statues. Maybe it's not
yeah,
into
I don't know.
and
that. That may
that's a good point, Gina, because Wonder Festival doesn't have the movie, the TV shows,
right,
and the comic books and stuff. It's
right.
just collectibles, like just statues, figures, and model kits, and that's it. Um, so Prime One, as I mentioned, also had a big booth there, or smaller, I guess, for them, but big for this event. I'll just run through some of the pictures here. Charles, I know you're a big fan of that one on the left.
Oh, of
Um,
course.
yeah. This one here, the Evangelion, the purple robot. That was a huge license. It was everywhere. Like almost every corner of the room had some kind of collectible from that series. So I'm
It's
not super
considered
familiar with it.
it's considered one of the greatest or the greatest anime series of all time.
Is it
So
really?
Been
it's
around a while too.
it's very um it's very in, intellectual. Like if it can get pretty deep. So I think that maybe that's why it's um,
Yeah. So I know. So here's a couple more from that series, Evangelion. Um, so
Oscar, Oscar and Ray.
yeah,
Oscar's the
that's right.
Oscar's
Yeah.
my favorite.
Uh,
Oscar's
Oh,
the
did you watch
German.
that show?
I watched the series years ago, like
Oh,
back in my
okay.
younger days. I watched the entire series and I loved it. And then when I watched the background commentary, you just learn so much and go, oh my god! Like there's just so much you miss. So on the surface, it's just this, this Tokyo has now been destroyed and blah blah. So on the surface, it's a pretty good story, but when you look at the listen to the background commentary, there's just so much um, background behind like a lot of it that you realize that it's pretty deep. But oh
Hmm.
yeah, right there is Oscar and Ray, and a lot of people love Ray, and but Oscar's my favorite. She's the
So is this typically how they emerge from the cockpit?
no,
Is, no.
It's,
that's a bit more.
see, that's a
That's a,
good question.
Yeah.
a bit more. It's a bit more suggestive than they do.
It's
So a
like
couple
Dukes of
more.
Hazard style.
Yeah. A couple more anime pieces. That's the Goku on the left was actually at a different booth, but it is a Prime One piece, so I threw it in here. All impressive looking stuff. We'll move on to some Batman. They had Bane there, which is just enormous. Like that's a 1/3 scale, but probably like as big as some of their 1/2 scales. Like really, really big. And plus you have the Batman on the base, kind of in the mud there. So
Sculpted
huge,
by our
huge.
good friend.
This one was Bane.
No, no, the Batman.
Oh yeah, yeah. The medieval Batman. It's Marco Plouffe, right?
That's right. I think
So
that's his last piece that he's done for the major players. I think he's spending a lot of time on his own company now.
yeah, and he did a really nice job. So here's a close up
Yeah,
of the armor detailing that he did
it's
on this
beautiful.
piece. So he had some practice because he did the Shogun Batman, right?
Yeah, I really
So,
hope that he finds a way to come back because look at the detail. This guy, and I don't know if you guys know, but he was just invited to lead a conference on ZBrush in California. They flew him over there, and he's going to be leading a conference on the where the industry is now. Like they're going to him to discuss where is the industry now. So it's quite impressive to see how a lot of these artists because this industry is still very new and how a lot of these artists become the industry, become like, I want to be like that. And you look at this piece, every little line that you see there is intentional. And some might think unnecessary, but it's intentional. And this guy does work that a lot of other people either wouldn't do or wouldn't know how to do. So
yeah,
it's
yeah, it looked excellent, but again, another enormous statue.
yep.
They had some gaming stuff. We got some Street Fighter, so that's Ken, and we had Akuma and Ryu, which these look pretty cool too if you're into those, into the Street Fighter. So I want to get now to I think probably the best one from their booth, Red Sonja.
Yeah.
Um, this one, I mean, everyone was kind of standing there looking at this one, that saying like, "Wow, like it really is cool."
It
Um,
has everything. It has everything.
yeah, I mean, she looks like she's about to skewer the snake, um, and I think there's a few different options for weapons and stuff on the statue, but this was the only one they had on display. So I'll give you the whole a look at the whole thing here. I mean, the cape comes off. You can display it with or without the cape there, as you can see. So depending on how much butt you want to show, you can take the cape off or leave it on.
I think they
And
have like fur boots as well, right?
they have
Sorry, I
what?
didn't hear that.
They've got like fur on the boots.
Yeah, there's fur on the boots. There's fur on the cape, like around the collar of the cape. Um, yeah, I mean, awesome statue. Awesome statue. I got a few more pictures of it here. So here's a little bit
Well,
closer view of
very
her, and then
impressive. She seems heroic, daring, sexy. I mean, it really has it all. You know,
yeah,
this is one of the things that, some of the other some of the other Red Sonja pieces that we've seen, they don't always capture her ferocity. Some do, but most capture more like her nobility, kind of assumed ability. Whereas over here, you really see her in battle and fearless, and it's cool to see. Looks nice.
yeah, it's awesome. And I know Adams mentioned here that the shipping, if you live in Canada, it's pretty large shipping costs. But
It's like 500
that's
or
kind of
something. Yeah.
it's what? Sorry,
Might end up being like 500 or something to ship.
I'm
Probably
trying to read.
more.
He's saying 690 US dollars for
Yeah,
shipping.
that makes sense. That makes sense. And this is a reality. It's a harsh reality, but it's a reality. The statues are getting bigger and heavier, and FedEx and UPS doesn't care. We wish we can find a better way to ship and cheaper. It gets even tougher if you're trying to resell it. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah, you pretty much have to eat that cost. But fantastic statue if you're a big fan of Red Sonja. Um, one more piece from the Prime One booth that we'll show here is the Predator. This is one that I love the Predator. I remember I watched it as a kid and still watch it today, and probably shouldn't have been watching it as a kid really, but our local movie place would let us rent pretty much whatever we wanted. It's awesome. Um, so I mean, I love the statue. I mean, they call it Big Game Predator or Big Game cover art, but this is the original movie Predator. I mean, it's
you're
some
you're,
kind of
you're referring to the comic book.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
This is under their comic Predator license, but I mean, we all know where it comes from, right? This is the original movie Predator, and it looks fantastic. I
It
love it.
does look fantastic. That there's no mistaking that that's from the movie. The shape of the head is usually the giveaway.
Yeah.
The
So
portrait, I should say.
it has up to four portraits. There's a couple, the closed mouth, and then there's an extra helmet that I don't recognize. It's not from the movie. Um, the guy in the back, the skinned victim, there is a optional thing. Um,
But the hand that's holding the decapitated, the spine, does that come with the statue? Or is that part of the other one?
this one here on the screen, yeah, that comes with it, and it has some switch outs. There's an empty hand, there's that one, and then there's holding a bag of skulls.
So if you could live with that. You don't really need the flayed body. If you're
No,
concerned about an extra $1,000, right? If you want
pretty
to
much
ship
that's
the
what it
other
would be.
one and get the other piece.
Yeah, for Canadian, it'd be over $1,000 to get that extra skinned man, which I don't need that. I just want that predator. That thing looked fantastic. I think it could be one of the arguably the best predator, if as long as they don't screw it up. Right, we're looking at prototypes, so as long as they don't screw it up, I think it could be one of the best predators around.
Well, I think Prime One, they've been pretty good with, prototype to production piece.
Yeah,
It's been pretty good. I
yeah,
think
they have pretty good track record, so I'm confident in it. I have added that to my pre-order list, um, so I'm looking forward to it, and whenever it comes out in 2 or 3 years or whatever. So, okay,
that's
so
the thing, eh? It's just, it comes out 2 years later. It's a long wait.
yeah, so Wonder Festival, awesome event. If anybody ever gets to go, do it. It's awesome, even if you don't like anime stuff, which is most of the content there. It's still awesome to see, and you don't see that stuff anywhere else, really.
That's
And
what makes it a great show, right? You get the previews of a lot of upcoming stuff that we might not see on,
exactly.
this side of the world.
And the other thing that's cool, as I mentioned, the crowds, it's very, it's a little more relaxed than some of the North American ones. I did speak with John from Prime One as well when I was there, and he's like, "Well, what do you like best about the booth?" And I was like, well, "Because there's no glass. That was my number one thing, the
They
glass
had
at the
glass in
side."
Montreal.
And he's like, "Yeah, well, in Japan we don't have to worry about it because nobody you put a little sign next to the statue that says 'Don't touch,' and they don't touch it. Like it's crazy." Right in New York, people would be touching it and stealing stuff from it probably. And
It's very interesting that you mentioned that. Like, when I have guests over, I can see it happening. They're moving towards my statues. They're about to touch the statues.
I agree.
Sometimes
Yeah.
people do this on my statue. They knock on it. I go, what the? I almost said it. What the?
yeah,
Yeah.
And every so often I got to step there and go, no, no, just try not to touch the
It's
statue.
like this sort of instinct of like reaching out to sort of
yeah,
touch it,
you
and
want to
especially
touch it. Yeah,
But
the first
this?
time.
What's this? Get away. Stop that.
yeah. So, anyways, like I said, people just don't there. It's so different. It's such a cool place to visit, even if and it's just a 1 day event. So then you get lots of time to spend around Tokyo. It's awesome. So Gina, the next event, sort of from the summer, is from just a couple weeks ago. We
Yeah, it
got
was. Yeah.
yeah, Fan Expo in Toronto. I'd say this is the biggest one in Canada, right?
Yes.
It is. It is the biggest one in Canada. So this year they were celebrating their 25th year, and I think I've been going, not to date myself, maybe close to 20 years. So really early on, I've been going. So yeah,
Since you
it's
were
the
about
biggest.
35?
That's right. That's right. Um, so yeah, it's the biggest in Canada, but what most people don't know, it's like I think it's like the third largest in North America, convention of its kind. So it's pretty big. This year, their premier guests, I guess you can say, is Todd McFarlane. I guess he's sort of doing the circuit because of Spawn 300,
Mm-hmm.
1, and then Jim Lee's coming back. And then we've got Steve McKevin. Now, I purposely did not go to see Todd McFarlane and Jim Lee this year. I met them before and I got autographs. I would have gone, but because I've seen them before, and I just didn't feel like waiting 6 hours or whatever.
Yeah.
Last time I met Jim Lee, it was you get a special ticket, and then you've got to wait in a room. And he came late, and it was close to 4 hours, and that's your Saturday.
Wow.
So that it was worth meeting him. I got a few things signed, and you get your picture taken. But yeah, so because if I hadn't have met them before and got their autograph, I probably would have done Jim Lee for sure, and maybe Todd McFarlane, but I met them before. So, but those were the two big headliners, I would say.
Okay.
And and then these guys, in terms of like celebrities, they had a ton of celebrities. These guys I wanted to meet. I wanted to meet Carl Urban, and get some stuff signed from him.
Carl Urban, who ditched the Edmonton show last minute. But
That's right.
Still mad about that. But,
so I got you covered. Don't worry, Chris. I got you covered.
This show, have you guys watched The Boys? Charles, have you watched The Boys?
No, I have not yet.
I definitely recommend it. Awesome show.
I read the comic book, and we talked about The Boys, I think at some time last year, and it was so gratuitously violent that I don't know, like, how far does it go on the show?
I heard it doesn't go as far as the book.
I haven't read the comics, so I don't know, but it's reasonably. It has some violent parts. There's some graphic parts for sure, but it's not like constant or anything.
Yeah.
Okay.
I heard that they touch on certain, like it's not as bad as the books, but I heard that they touch on certain things, but it doesn't go as far as the books.
Because I saw one scene in the preview where you see this woman and she's straddling this guy, right above his head, right, and then just kind of crushes him.
Yeah.
That I don't know. That looks gratuitously violent.
Well, it is, but I mean, it's a short scene.
Yeah. I'm just kidding.
But Carl Urban's excellent in it. I thought he was really, really good. So
he's amazing
in everything, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when I go to FanExpo, I don't typically go for statues. I mean, I don't necessarily go for the celebrities either. Here were the headliner celebrities that were there. I don't necessarily go for the celebrities. I mainly, in the last, I would say 5 years or so, I've been going to mainly for Artist Alley, and just for graded comics mainly is what I've been going, and just for comic book creators. It's just my interest, right? And your interest sort of changes per year, and your treasure hunt when you go to these conventions. People's interest changes, year to year. But I found the last 5 or so years has mainly been for the comic book creators. So here's some other comic book creators. David Finch. I went back to get something done, to get a commission art from him this year. So that's just my own personal hunt that I go for, and each person's different. But the comic book convention has something or this FanExpo has something for everybody, though. So.
Yeah, you got a pretty nice guest list there. Ours this year. You know who our number one guest is this year? How lame that is. The guy from The Princess Bride.
Oh, you told me this.
Cary Elwes.
Yeah, that guy. That's the number one. That's the headliner this year. Like, what a joke.
Yeah,
I know, Gina, you were excited to see this guy.
No, I was not excited. I didn't. Stop.
Come on now.
No. But you know what? I give FanExpo a lot of credit. They're able to get these diverse celebrities and creators that appeal to different different demographics, different people. They're able to draw in. That's why they're able to draw in so many different people, because an actor or an actress or creator that someone else may like, I may not like, but they draw in a lot of people. One thing that's really interesting about the crowds this year is I think this is the first year where I found the crowds were about maybe 20% less this year. And instantly I was like, something's off, like the crowds. And the only thing I could sort of put my finger on is maybe it's because the weekend changed. It used to always be, it always is on the Labor Day weekend. So this weekend is usually when it is. And this is the first year in, I think, a decade maybe, that they haven't done it on the holiday weekend.
So you think
that's the only difference.
Just were out of town?
No, I just think that the holiday weekend is when it usually is, and they have a bigger draw. Because I'm sorry, it's because people, and also people can take time off of work maybe, it's just easier. But that's the only thing I could put my finger on, because we had some pretty good headliners. So we can't say it's because they didn't have the guests, they didn't have.
I think Canadians value their summer time.
Did you actually see some numbers that showed that there were less?
No, but I've been going for decades, so I can tell right away. It was like, it's not, because usually it's like especially on the Saturday, it's like shoulder to shoulder
Yeah.
just packed, and that's what I was expecting. So Thursday's a little bit, the preview day is, it's a bit quieter, and then Friday gets a little bit more crowded, and then even Friday wasn't as busy. It was still there, but I'm like, oh, it's not that busy. I guess I just figured, okay, Saturday it's going to be the normal crowd, the normal like, oh, and it wasn't. Like, it was crowded. Don't get me wrong, but it was not like shoulder to shoulder. It wasn't that bad. I'm thinking the only difference is the fact that the weekend, it wasn't on a holiday weekend. So, but I think next year they're going back to the regular holiday weekend, I
Okay.
believe. But yeah.
Yeah, Adam's saying he goes to the Calgary Expo over Edmonton one. Definitely, the Calgary one's actually pretty good. They get a lot of big time guests there. The Edmonton one, I'm not even buying tickets this year. I'm boycotting. I'm still mad about Carl Urban ditching last year, and and it sucks this year, so I'm not even going to bother with it. Now, I think the same weekend as FanExpo was D23 in California.
Okay.
And so there's a lot of news coming out of that. Now, Gina, you remember we did a show early on. We did what were some Netflix shows we'd like to see, or characters
Yes,
we'd
we
like to see
did.
made into Netflix shows. So one of the ones on my list was Moon Knight.
That's right.
So I'm pretty jacked up for this. This is a pretty big announcement for me. People who don't know, I mean, Moon Knight's one of the. How would you describe Moon Knight, Charles? Extreme characters or like?
I think he's a harder core Batman.
Yeah,
This guy is wealthy. He's also very bright. He's a ladies' man. He's a creature of the night. But he's far more violent. Like, he thrives on the fear of whoever it is he's going after, and he will hurt you. I mean, this guy has studs on his gloves.
yeah,
He'll beat you to the point of where you're going to die. And he also has three personalities, so it's very interesting to see how they're going to pull that off. It's a complex character to pull off. That's
yeah,
one of the reasons why this title has struggled, is because he's a very difficult character to write and to write well. So someone comes in and they'll have a good time with him, but after a year they kind of run out of ideas, and the reason for that is they can't create good villains for him.
yeah.
You know,
He doesn't have a lot of good villains, but definitely it's a character I think better suited to a series like that than a movie. You
I
really
agree.
have to explore.
Because of his history and what you can do with him, and to see the depth of his character, because each three of his personalities have a distinct life, right? He's got the mercenary, the philanthropist billionaire, and the cab driver, and then of course there's Moon Knight,
And then Moon Knight, yes, it's really four,
right?
right?
And
So
that kind of juggling of everything, it makes for a very interesting character. But you have to invest in watching and building a character like that. So every one of his personalities, you value equally.
yeah, I know that Disney said because this is all going to be on the Disney Plus channel. It's not going to be like R-rated. I don't know if it needs to be, but how do you feel about that? Do you think they can get go to the limit of the R rating? Do you think they will?
I don't know if what gets an R rating today is what would have received an R rating 20 years ago. Right? Look at
Yeah,
commercials, look at language. I mean, they're going way past what was acceptable 20 years ago. I think they could pull it off.
I think
You
so
can
too.
have assumed violence. We don't have to see blood and gore and guts to say, oh wow, that's cool. I think they can pull it off. And one thing that we've seen about Disney is could present an amazing action-packed movie without sex, without profanity, without blood and guts, and you'll still love it. Which, nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. I know Netflix has a different rating system, but I mean, Daredevil certainly wasn't R rated. I wouldn't call it R rated. Um, I mean,
But
they could
it
go to that range and or maybe slightly below because it's Disney, but still have it be pretty good.
Daredevil went places that other TV shows would not. Daredevil practically redefined the fight scene for TV, right? So it was violent, and it was also smart,
Hmm.
right? Like, their angst was more mature, if that makes any sense,
Yeah, so
right?
I'm that's one I'm definitely excited about. It's probably the most exciting announcement for me, anyways. What Gene, are you excited for? Moon Knight?
I am. I think it's the perfect, one of those perfect characters that I think would do really well. I know it's kind of confusing the fact that he has multiple personalities, so it might be difficult to have translated into a single movie. But I think a series is perfect. I like the fact too that at D23 they've already sort of confirmed that the TV shows will connect to the movies. So who knows? We might get Moon Knight in eventually in one of the MCU films in the future. So he made the origin, his origin and his sort of character exploration and just discovery may happen in the TV show, and then we might see him if the show is a success. We might see him in one of the MCU movies, which that'd be pretty excited for.
Yeah. Guys, before we move on from Moon Knight, I recommend that you guys get this. This is a really good book on Moon Knight. It's the volume 1. It's called Epic Collection, and it reprints basically his first couple of years when he was a backup story in Hulk magazine, and then also his own book written by Mensch and drawn by Sienkiewicz. It's really worth it, and it's not very expensive. You don't have to get the hardcover. Well, there isn't a hardcover.
Yeah, there isn't one, yeah.
And there is no omnibus. So this volume 1 is really worth getting.
There is a volume 2. I haven't read that one, but I've read that one. And that's a good introduction to the character for sure. So the other big announcement in terms of TV shows, She-Hulk. So I don't follow She-Hulk real close, but I think it could be another better suited to TV show than movie.
Well, I think what people like is the fact that of her, the fact that she's like a lawyer during the day. So it could work pretty well for a TV show because you can still have that legal procedural TV show.
Order style show.
Exactly, which TV, and I'm not the first to say this. So others have mentioned this as well. So it's almost like, it's about time, right? That they put this together. One thing I have to say, since we're talking about the TV shows, at D23, they've already confirmed, they confirmed that they're not releasing the entire episodes all at once. Which, they said that at least for the Mandalorian, they're not. And I believe the other shows, they're not. So one obvious reason why they're probably not doing that is because they don't want people to binge and then cancel their subscription. Yeah. So it's smart, but I tell you one thing though, my own personal preference, we're all different. TV shows, I binge. And I think your TV show, not TV show, your TV watching experience, I believe, just my personal opinion, your TV watching experience is better when you can binge, where someone's not telling, the flow of the story just flows better. I mean, rather than have to wait a week, you obviously lose that momentum. And I think Netflix figured that out really early. Mm-hmm. And it's like your TV watching experience is better when you can binge. So it's a shame that they're not doing this. I believe it's smart probably financially, but I think it's detrimental for the momentum.
People can still binge. I mean, I binge also. When it comes to watching, I wait for the season to be over.
You can wait.
I watch
you can wait, but it may not. But it may not be over for 2 months, so 3 months or whatever. And then, good luck not trying to stay away from the spoilers, right? So.
It's a tough call.
About She-Hulk for a second, before we go to the next one, because I don't want to forget. She-Hulk I think, will be written as a comedy. Now, I'll tell you why I say that, because that's when the comic book was at its best. When John Byrne was writing it, it had an element of humor in it, because they don't want her to be Hulk smash and type of thing. She was always bright. She was always funny. And she flirted, right? She was very comfortable with the way she looked. So she's so different from the actual Hulk that we know. I think it'll be very refreshing. And also, she's super powerful and not afraid to mix it up, but her hair's got to look good, so it should be very interesting on how that they're going to do that, because you would think some people who would turn into this big monstrosity type of thing would be very insecure about their appearance and everything. But Jennifer Walters wasn't like that. She did her hair. She found the right dress. She got the shoes, and she looked great. She was very funny and super intelligent. So if they can manage to package this in a really good way, I think it could potentially be a hit, like a fun show to watch. That's takes a step back from all the deep, dark, gritty stuff that these things are generally about.
Right.
Moon Knight at one end and She-Hulk could be at
Yeah.
Right.
My other wish list, not to stop you there, Chris. My other wish list is that I hope that these series are about 10 episodes. The season is about 10 episodes or less. I think when you stretch it to 13 to it's just too long. And I've read even the writers of these shows say that, like, now you're taking the same story arc and you're going to have to stretch it. And it's just, you got these just some episodes where you got these it's just slow moments or whatever. 10 episodes. Look at The Boys, which is perfect. I think that was 10 episodes. If that was same story arc, it was 8. I'm sorry, it was 8. And if that same story arc was stretched to 13,
it'd be too long. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
So
I think Loki's going to be like 6 episodes. No, it's like even shorter than that.
then that's great.
I could be wrong. I could be wrong.
And I think that was part of my own issue with some of the Netflix Marvel shows. It was too long. Other than, I really enjoyed Daredevil season 1, 13 episodes. I mean, it was just full 13 episodes of just pure greatness. But other than that, there are other series. It's 13. It was Jessica Jones. It was a great story arc. It was just too long.
Yeah,
13 episodes. Yeah.
Daredevil should have maybe been 20, and then the other ones less. So the last TV show reveal is Miss Marvel, and I never caught if this was an animated series or a live action. Do you guys know?
No, but I'm pretty sure it'll be live action.
Yeah.
Because
so
yeah.
Miss Marvel, I believe it's this version of Miss Marvel, the Kamala Khan.
Yeah.
So interesting choice. I have read the omnibus of this character. She's obviously Muslim, a young female Muslim character, so she's got interesting, relevant problems for today, I guess. And it's a good show. She's kind of got like Mr. Fantastic style powers. Stretchy. She's I believe she's an Inhuman. I think.
I'm not very familiar with the character. Did they cover that in the omnibus?
Yeah, they did. I'm just trying to remember. It's been a while since I read. I think she's an Inhuman, like that. She gets her powers kind of in a similar way from the mist or whatever.
The Terrigen mists.
Yeah. So, anyways, interesting choices, and then another announcement from the event is a casting announcement. I guess they had Kit Harington signed on. They kind of leaked that he was going to be in a Marvel movie a few days before, and nobody knew what it was. And there was all kinds of speculation and stuff. And who did you guys guess before they revealed it? Who did you think it was going to be?
It was possible it could have been Moon Knight, because there's so much chatter about it.
Yeah, I was thinking Wolverine. I thought maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, but the Black Knight, and this for me came way out of left field. I didn't expect the Black Knight to be a character that they would introduce, but
well, you know what my theory is? You know what my theory is? It's just a theory, it's just out of left field. I think he was offered a big role, and I think he turned it down and said, I want to be part of Marvel, but I don't want to be in a big role. I just came off of Game of Thrones, so that he got something smaller. I think they offered him something.
It's a knight. Isn't that kind of the same?
Yeah, but I think it's just the size. I think the size of it. He just didn't want to do Wolverine, or he didn't want to do Moon Knight. He didn't want a big coming right off of Game of Thrones.
A big commitment.
Yeah, I think someone of his. He's coming right off of the biggest TV show in history, and I think so he's close to A status in that aspect. I think they offered him something pretty big, a role that was pretty big, and I think he turned it down, and they negotiated and said, well, we still really want you in the MCU, we still really want you, so he took a smaller role. That's just a complete theory. I mean, I could be completely wrong, but
so he's going to be in the Eternals movie. I don't know anything about the Eternals. Charles, are you familiar with that group?
The Eternals are basically kind of like an offshoot of the Celestials, but I'm reluctant to get into the whole storyline. It's a very complicated storyline. And I don't think they're going to take that route. The Eternals can be interesting because they are kind of like gods, right? They all have superpowers. They all can do extraordinary things, and they are a step away from humans. I'm not sure what they're going to do with it. I don't know how they're going to bring them into the Marvel universe because they're so above and beyond mortals, right? Which is why series like this don't last very long, because you have to come up with Galactus-style villains every issue, right?
So do you think the Black Knight, do you think he'll be a villain in this movie?
He started as a villain in the Avengers, and eventually he turned over a new leaf. I don't know how they're going to do that. You know,
his sword is sort of corrupt, right? And he's
the
a good
ebony
guy,
blade,
but his sword is sort of turns him evil, gives him evil thoughts, and you know, so he could be both, I guess. He could start evil and turn around.
It'll be part of his quest. I think, you know, not to skip the subject, but I'm interested in what they're going to be doing with Black Panther and Namor, right? That seems more intriguing, more interesting to me. Whereas the Eternals, I think they're going to change it. It's not going to be like in the comics.
I read something where someone was suggesting that in the Eternals is where Marvel is going to start to begin to introduce the X-Men through that movie somehow. So that's what they're gonna use to connect and bring the X-Men into. So we'll see.
They create mutants or something.
Maybe they said that would be the vehicle. It's just something I read stories. Someone's suggestion.
I think I read that too, and that's interesting. I think it's going to be some kind of launching point for something in what is it, Phase 4, or the new phase. I guess they're starting over, kind of, right?
Yeah.
So they have to introduce a new overarching villain. I don't know who it'll be.
I mean, it's possible.
I could see it coming out of this one.
Yeah, it's possible that the Eternals is just a sort of one of those Bridgepoint movies, like where it's they're just planning to do like a one-off, where it's this big one-off that's going to sort of introduce and bring in a new sort of something, a totally new storyline, totally new characters, which would explain why they got these big name people that they probably couldn't sign on. Like there's no way that Angelina Jolie signed on for like 5 films or 3 films, which is what the normal contract usually is, right? There's no way she did. So this could just be this one giant $200 million epic bridge point to bring in to begin a new phase, right?
Could be. Yeah, but they got the really high-end cast.
Yeah.
Salma Hayek's in it. Angelina Jolie, you mentioned. We just touched on Jon Snow. So, look, interesting. I have no idea what to expect from it. So, kind of like Guardians of the Galaxy. Like, I wasn't super familiar with them either when they were introduced, and I became fan. So, who knows? We'll wait and see. So, one more piece of news to get to before we kind of round up the show here. Sony and Disney are back at their fighting ways. They were good buddies for a while, and then so Spider-Man is apparently out of the MCU. What do you guys think of that? Do you think this is for real?
I'm just thinking about how wonderful our Eternal segment just was. Anyway, about Spider-Man, I think that, when you see fights played out in the media like this, I think people they're just gauging to see what we feel, what we're thinking, to see if we can get, if people really want Spider-Man back, or if people want Spider-Man out of the MCU because they don't want, because Spider-Man in the MCU was written like Robin to Batman, right? Robin to Iron Man. Yeah. And that isn't my favorite way of writing the character. I enjoyed the Tobey Maguire films because he was on his own, doing his own thing. He developed his powers. He wasn't this dependent character. He was his own genius. And he's the one who created his costume and figured out things as he was going along. I wouldn't mind, actually. I mean, I got my fill of him in the MCU. I don't have to see him part of it in every film. If they want him back, I mean, okay. It's not going to ruin it for me. But him not being in another movie with Iron Man or Captain America is not going to ruin it for me either, I guess is what I'm saying.
We probably aren't going to get a movie with Iron Man and Captain America, right? So
Oh, unless they're replaced somehow.
yeah. Well, I guess
You know what I
it's
thought they were
Falcon
going to
Cap,
do?
right?
Just a quick thing. What I thought they were going to do in the new Spider-Man movie is in his costume, there was going to be some kind of computer program where Robert Downey Jr. was going to come out a la, Obi-Wan Kenobi in a hologram, and they were going to continue that relationship. But it was going to be computerized.
I think, yeah, I've had that same thought, but I expect them to introduce. Do you know the young Ironheart? Ironheart, I think is her name. Riri Williams, the younger female Iron Man. Keep thinking they're going to introduce her somehow, and then.
Well, I've heard that they want to make. I heard that they want to make Cherie Ironheart maybe in the future.
Sure. But then I would expect Tony to be her Jarvis.
She might be.
Way to keep him in.
He might be, right? Yeah. But I read that because she already has, they've established that she has the knowledge, the tech gear knowledge, and is extremely smart. That she'd be a good character to just be Ironheart.
Yeah, she could do it.
Yeah.
So, anyways, Spider-Man. I don't know that he needs to be in more movies. They left it off at a point where I kind of want to know what happens next, right? Where they revealed his identity at the end. One thing I think would be a mistake would be to drop him into this movie back at Sony.
I think it's what Sony wants.
And I wouldn't be surprised either. But I mean, they did start off this Venom franchise and without Spider-Man, and I think did it relatively well. And to bring Spider-Man and just kind of airdrop him in now would be a mistake, I think. And it'd be a mistake to reboot Spider-Man again too.
Total mistake. Yeah. First of all, I don't think anything is final yet. We never knew. I mean, listen, we all thought that James Gunn was fired. Now he's back. So nothing's final. So there could be a last minute agreement made. I mean,
it's negotiating tactics, like you said, Charles.
It's just who knows?
How the fan reaction.
Who knows? Like just it's like a roller coaster, and we only know what they want to release in the media, right? We don't know anything else behind the scenes. So. And things can change, I don't know.
Yeah, so I think...
Well, we do know one thing behind the scene. I think the Sony Marvel deal was that Marvel was going to get 5% of things associated to Spider-Man, and now they wanted 50.
Yeah, so we know,
that much we know.
They gave all those numbers out. So they on purpose, they released all those numbers where... and the new deal, Marvel wanted to finance 50% of the new film and then get 50% of the profits. But that they released. We don't, all the stuff that we don't know, they haven't released. Maybe Marvel does not want, Spider-Man with Venom, and that's what's causing this break. And Sony's like, no, we want Spider-Man with Venom in our own movie, and Marvel. Maybe that's what's really causing it. They're just not telling us. I don't know. Yeah. I don't think anything's final, and I wouldn't be surprised if a month from now, hey, now we've made up and we've made an agreement. I don't know.
The Tom Holland version of Spider-Man, he's just not a Venom kind of guy. I just can't see him in the tone of movie that Venom was, a darker movie like that. I don't know. I don't see it. I don't see the fit, but I think it's something Sony would do. And
is he your favorite? Is he your favorite Spider-Man?
Tom Holland?
Yeah.
No. This is kind of unpopular opinion. I like the second series, probably the Spider-Man parts of it.
Andrew Garfield.
I liked Gwen, and I liked the actual Spider-Man from those movies the best. The way he fought, the way he swung around and moved, and in the second movie, the suit I thought was really good. That's probably my favorite of the three. Which is your favorite?
I like Tobey as Peter Parker the best.
Yeah, those were good too.
I think Tobey had that where he played the whole I'm vulnerable, and I think he played that the best. I liked Andrew Garfield in the costume the best. Yeah. I think his that long, lengthy. But
I like Emma Stone. Emma Stone was as good as Gwen, I
She
thought.
was, yeah, and their chemistry. But there's nothing much I really liked about that second, other than his, yeah. I mean, other than seeing Andrew Garfield in the costume, and there's nothing much I really liked about that second iteration of Spider-Man. I think they certainly dropped the ball a lot on that one, just from my own perspective.
Mm.
I
Yeah.
think
How about you,
the first series had the best villains, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Green Goblin,
Um,
Doctor Octopus.
yeah, the Doctor Octopus one is my favorite Spider-Man movies of all of
Yeah.
them.
Mine too.
So
I think that's my favorite comic book movie of all time. I think. Yeah.
I like Tobey Maguire. I liked him. They could bring it back if they do a Spider-Verse movie. He could be the
Sure.
older
That's what they're saying, yeah.
Spider-Man with little pudgy. And I just saw him on, was it Jimmy Kimmel? He was just on because he's disappeared.
Right.
Where has he been?
Right. Well,
You know?
he's so rich. He's so rich from those movies that he doesn't have to work.
I think it's just a matter of time before they get Miles into the live action.
I agree with you.
Okay, so I think yes or no, Spider-Man back in the MCU, Charles?
I can live without it. Let's see. Let's have a non-MCU 2 movies and then bring him back. It doesn't have to be MCU every time.
But do you think he'll be back?
Yes, he'll be back.
Gina?
There's no way they could keep him out forever. No way.
I think he'll be back.
Yeah, I think so too. So I guess none of us are falling for the media hysteria on this one. Anyways, I think that's about it for this episode. So any last things to hit on, Charles, before we sign off here?
No, I think we're all. I think we're gonna have one more show, hopefully before New York.
Yeah, we'll try and fit one in, I think, if everyone's available.
Yeah.
New York Comic Con is kind of the last. Well, there's the one in Brazil in December, I guess, and Singapore's in December now.
Right, but it's going to be a show we're all going to be there, so it'll be very interesting
right. So that's
for
exciting.
our delightful audience to see us working live.
Hopefully. Okay, Gina, any last
Um,
comments?
I'm excited for the Mandalorian,
Yeah.
and I
So-
think, yep.
Have you guys got Disney Plus? Are you gonna? Just for that?
I might get Disney Plus just for that. I'm not happy about this. Wait next week for the next episode, for episode 2. I know why they did it financially, but anyway. But that series might sell me on Disney Plus, that alone. So I'm excited for what they have for that.
Okay, so I think that's it. So it was a great summer. We all got to go to some big events around the world, really, and hopefully everyone enjoyed the show. And we'll talk to you guys next time.
See you again soon. Thanks for coming.